So we're here with Simon and Joe Justice. Okay, Joe, I'd really like to hear a 5-minute introduction to Scrum from your wisdom as a Scrum consultant, Agile consultant. Can you summarize it in 5 minutes for the people?
I can, as we get some amazing, tasty looking. Yes, thank you very much. Oh my gosh, look at this stuff.
That was, oh sorry,
Yeah,
water was for
it's
you.
good.
We will share some.
Yeah.
That really hot one can go over
Okay.
to Martian.
That's
I'll
okra
try a
masala.
bite, but I don't know if I'll.
Already looks right.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Thank you so much. So, Scrum defines the roles and responsibilities of those roles for a high-performing, fast-moving, agile team. Thanks so much. And the meetings they need to have at a minimum, and it suggests even at a maximum. Like maybe you don't need to have more meetings than this. And then the artifacts that they produce. Scrum intentionally uses funny-sounding words, so it's easier to tell that you're doing this very different thing. You're running a Scrum team. Scrum is part of Agile. Agile is the larger umbrella. And then Scrum is a specific way to run your team. And you can run a company, it can scale to a company size. So a Scrum team is 5 people plus or minus 2. Team Wiki Speed breaks that rule, where 150 people is a single Scrum team. But typically, Scrum is 5 people plus or minus 2, plus a product owner. That's the person's job to have the vision, the clearest end state responsible of what is going to be developed. And then they have the Scrum Master. Their job is to remove impediments for the team. Now that sounds like it sounds soft. If the team needs the temperature changed in the room, they need different tools or materials. The team doesn't want to slow down to get those. It's the Scrum Master's job to try to obtain those things that will enable the team to have higher velocity. Meanwhile, it's the product owner's job to have the clearest vision possible of the end state, so that the team at any given point can say, is this what you meant? Is this what you meant? Or I was thinking if we did this, it might deliver the value you wanted even faster than the way we were talking about it before. Is that okay? And the product owner can answer that fast. That's their job.
Please compare to the product owner and the Scrum Master to traditional corporate functions.
They don't directly map to any given role. That's why they have such funny sounding different names. Part of project management is split across the product owner and the Scrum Master. The delivery responsibilities would typically be a whole bunch of different roles, like your user experience designer, your usability lead, your then designer for the look and feel, and your branding lead. And then all the people that build that thing to that experience. So depending on the project, say it's software, which most Scrum teams have been. So that'd be your developers, your testers, and hopefully they try to combine those roles. Now the goal of the team in Scrum is to be cross-functional, where everyone ideally can do every role. That doesn't mean everyone's the best. People are still experts in certain areas, but they're continually scaling their talent out across the team, so you don't have a single point of failure anymore. So Scrum attempts to be a cross-functional team of 5 to 9 individuals, 7 plus or minus 2, and then they have their product owner, who's similar to a traditional product manager, but not identical. They share some of that responsibility with the Scrum Master. And they're the product owner is the person who's responsible for ROI and the budget of the project, the go, no go. And they accept or reject any work from the team. So let's go through the flow rapid. We've probably already been 5 minutes in.
350.
Maybe we can do this. Okay, so the product owner starts with the clearest vision responsible of what will ultimately deliver value to the customer, why they want to do this. Not how, but why. They don't have to have any idea about how this will happen, but they have to have a very clear idea of what the value of what they're going to create is. Then they create a backlog. The backlog is a list of all of the user stories. Scrum doesn't require user stories, but the Scrum community uses user stories mainly. That's from the end user's perspective, what will they do with this product and what's the value they'll get from it. So it's something like, as Joe, I can drive a car that achieves 100 miles per gallon so that I can make a difference in the environment. That would be a user story. So from the vision, the product owner creates a backlog, a list of these user stories, and they put them in priority order. They put the riskiest stuff first. If the project's going to fail, they want it to fail early. And they put the most valuable stuff first in terms of business value and other priorities that the product owner cares about. Then they say, what are the skills I think I need to deliver this work, and they solicit the team. They create the team, and the team can be anybody as long as they have the skill to deliver the work in the backlog. They don't have to know how to do it, but they have to have the skill to do it. So say it's build a log cabin, you need to have people that know to work with wood, right? This is the analogy. Then your Scrum Master's job is to keep the team moving as fast as responsible and unblock the team's blocks, and also ensure that the team is getting the benefits of using Scrum. So if the team starts to do a different process, it's the Scrum Master's responsibility to identify as quickly as possible, is that a net improvement, or are they going off the rails and they're starting to lose process? So they're essentially the process steward, right? And then you have the team. Then the team takes the highest priority stuff on the backlog up until they think that's as much as we can take in a sprint length. A sprint length is the shortest possible amount of time that will deliver working product to the user. So maybe that's 2 weeks. Scrum will typically say a maximum of 4 weeks. We try to get it as short as possible. We would get it down to minutes if we could. And then they take as much off the backlog as the team believes they can deliver in one sprint length after they decide what a sprint length is, and they commit to do it so other teams then know what to expect from that team. Then they do the work, and they do the work however they want. It's their job to determine how the work gets done, not the product owner, not the Scrum Master. And they have a ceremony, a meeting, sprint planning to determine how much of the work they take. They deliver the work, and then they come back and show it to the product owner and anyone else who's able to see that work. Hopefully the whole world and hopefully the end users, and that's the demo of the work. And they do that every sprint. Then they have a retrospective, and that's the continuous improvement part of Scrum, to say what went well and what didn't go well and what should they try differently. There's many ways to run a retrospective. That's the simplest method.
These are in-person meetings?
These are all in, well, they can be completely virtual, but they're personality to personality, whether it's through Skype or in the same room. The fastest performing Scrum teams I've ever seen are co-located. They're all in the same room, like the same room even, not the same building, but the same room, and with no walls in between them. And they're collaborative. They're all working on the same, and they're dedicated. They're all working on the same project. They don't have any other responsibilities other than this sprint's work. Now, it happens all the time that teams work on multiple projects. That slows them down, but they still do good work. It happens all the time that teams are distributed all across the world. That slows them down, but they still do good work. And the tools to help them do that work, things like Skype, things like Scrummy, things like Linoe, are so good now that the velocity, the rate of delivery of distributed teams is almost as high as co-located teams now. Now the dedicated part is much harder. There's context switching loss whenever they exchange what backlog they're working on. They have to completely switch the headspace of what they're working into. That loss is pretty big. So if we can have people focus, at least for one sprint length, on just one project's tasks, they will move very, very fast. Mm-hmm. And that's the 5-minute Scrum explanation.
Okay, so I've seen a day of, what I've seen in the workshop, is that a day of Scrum?
That was a day of Scrum.
Okay.
So we do 1 week iterations, and we have a Thursday build party, and then other build parties when you have time. And you saw a Sunday build party. So next Thursday, we'll then have our weekly stand-up, because we're a volunteer team and people don't make progress every day. So we have a weekly stand-up, which would typically be a daily meeting. And then we have our sprint planning, and we have our demo. And then we do work. And then we do work as many more times as people have times through the week. So you were there at Sunday, one of those opportunities to do more work. And then next Thursday, we'll demo the work we did. We'll have people say what they did last week, what they're going to do next week, and any blocking issues they're having.
You can actually demonstrate.
Oh, yeah.
Celebrate.
Well, the celebration seems to happen organically when stuff works. It's different than going out for champagne or any of the other poisons that we take on to celebrate in our culture, which boggles my mind. And I drink too, but it's interesting that that's a celebration. But regular successes keep morale high. And making sure we demo every week gives the opportunity for regular successes to be visible across the entire team and be an instigator for morale to raise, which is the multiplier for velocity.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, this is the 5 minutes of Scrum with Joe Justice in 9 minutes. Thank you.